David said, FSG, zero respect for fans. We need to sign players. Yep. Sure. Again, think about it this way, David. If you're FSG right now, regardless of what happens this season, regardless of what happens in the window, regardless of what happens, they've put 2 billion quid in their pocket, and they have, at the very least, if they do get bought out, got an agreement to get 6 billion. So whatever happens for them, their quid's in. They're never going to get an investment like this again, and they've made an absolute fortune. Richard Hughes will swan off to Saudi Arabia, be handsomely rewarded, live a flash lifestyle, and get well paid. But Iriola and the Liverpool fans, we're left with the mess. We're left to try and figure out the future direction of the club, to try to wonder what on earth is happening. Because if there's one criticism I think everybody should agree on with FSG, its communication has been a big problem all the way through their ownership of the club. They've never been transparent enough or upfront enough with fans on a whole range of topics, from transfers to season tickets to furloughing of staff and lots of other stuff. And on this, there's been absolutely pittance of information given to the fan base about the takeover or what it might look like or what direction it's going in. It's hard because you obviously want the best for the club, and nobody here wants Iriola to fail. Everybody wants him to do well. And if a manager does fail, you want it to be because of their own failures. You never want them to fail, but if they do fail, you want it to be because of their tactics or their lack of motivation or their their own failings, not because they weren't given the tools to do their job. That's unfair, and I don't want that to happen to Iriola. AMC said, I'm okay with Minta if we're buying Barcola and Mbaye. I mean, I'd be extremely surprised if we do all three. Extremely surprised, because, that's a lot of money. Look, I'm okay with Minta. Take out the injury as another option, I'm okay with. It's just, it feels panicky, as everyone is saying, because that's how it feels, right? It does feel panicky right now, the way we're going about it. Could have went for Minta in June. And all of them, all of our lists, whether it was from, whatever accounts you follow on social media, whatever journalists you follow, all the lists had Minta on it. So it's no surprise that he was somebody Liverpool were looking at. The surprise is, again, that people were expecting this to be a well-planned, well-thought-out window. And I wasn't. I knew it was going to be a mess. And it is a mess. And, whatever happens between now and the end of the window will happen. But, again, are we doing the best for the manager? No. And that annoys me as a fan. Raekwon, how are you, buddy? Said, Craig, hope you're well. I'm disgusted with this window, and no one will be held accountable for this disgraceful squad planning. Yep, like I said, the billionaires will be even bigger billionaires. Hughes will swan off, failing at Liverpool, to swan off into a well-paid job in Saudi Arabia. And the fans and the manager and the players are going to be left to try and pick up the pieces. And we don't know what to expect from the new investors because, well, nobody's told us. So it feels like the next 12 months could be a bit of treading water at this point, unless Eduardo Saverin, Ahmed Batia and Jeff Bezos consortium comes in and takes control, because they need to clear house behind the scenes. They need to get the sporting director thing sorted out. It needs to be sorted out for the next 5-6 years, not somebody who's coming in a 2-year cycle to piss off again. This football club finally needs to be run like a big football club. And not a big football club because it brings in commercial sponsorship deals that add more revenue. We need to see that spent on the pitch. How do you let Trent leave for next to nothing in his prime? Jones leave for a pittance compared to what he would have been worth if you had had longer in his deal. Salah rip up his contract and let him walk out the door for free. Canade walks out the door to join Real Madrid for free. Now tell me that anybody at a well-run football club allows those things to happen. Because if they were happening at Manchester United or Arsenal, we'd be laughing at them, and rightly so. So we are a laughing stock in some extent, but it isn't because of the fans or the players or the manager. It's again because of the ownership, and they've taken their eye off the ball. David, evening, Craig, and our lovely community. See, I did miss it today, David. I did miss it today. Hope the Minter bid is just to draw a reaction from PSG. See, this is what I don't know. I mean, it could be Cameron, but do you know what confuses me the most about it? It's not like PSG are asking for ludicrous money for Mbappe. You know, it seems like the asking price is about 50 million euro, which is about 40 million pound. Now, I know 40 million pounds, 40 million pound, but it's not ludicrous. Like, they're not asking for an unrealistic, unfair fee, in my opinion. And also, we kind of knew what the asking price was. You know, because Leverkusen were negotiating with them. The asking price was pretty much out there in the public domain. So, to be playing silly buggers about it and professing for it to be too high, well, then just fucking move away. You know, stop wasting your time. Just go in and get what you need to get done. Stop trying to be the smartest guys in the room, and just give the manager his players. Wolfie said Hughes should have gone with Slot. 100%. 100% he should have. Yeah, without a doubt, mate, you should have gone with him. But again, how do you let somebody who doesn't want to be here take control of a big transfer window? Because look, I always say this to you guys, even with players, I don't buy into this. They're professional bollocks. I don't buy into it. Everybody is inherently selfish. And Hughes will have one eye in his next role. A player in the final year of their deal that's going elsewhere will have one eye in their next move. It's human nature, and nobody's ever going to convince me otherwise. So all the happy, clappy nonsense that's like, oh, these guys are professional. No, they're not. No, they're fucking not. They're inherently selfish, and they want to line their pockets. Why else would Hughes be going to Saudi? Answer me that. It's not a fucking footballing decision, is it? You know, you've gone from Bournemouth to Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and that wasn't good enough, so you're off to Saudi. It ain't for footballing reasons, is it? Let's be honest about it. Phil said, if we're looking to spend around 50 to 60 million on a right winger, does this push Rio down the pecking order? No, I think it's just genuinely you need two on either side. You need to have four options. And, you know, I would imagine that maybe, I'm still not sure what actually happens with Chiesa, but it would be him or Kumas, I would say. Most likely Kumas, if the club can sell Chiesa as another option. So, yeah, I don't think it'll really affect Rio too much because, you know, Rio's going to have to compete for his place like everybody else. But, you know, I want four wingers that the manager feels that he can swap around, he can use against different opposition. And certainly if in this case Minta came in and he got back to fitness, there'd be a load of pace there, well with Barcola. So, again, I can understand the logic of Minta, but I can't understand the logic of it now when he's injured. This one from OA9576. Bidding for injured players. When Yeri couldn't get a game for Marseille, what does that say about having to buy their cast-offs injured players? I don't know. I'm a bit... Look, one man's rubbish can be another man's treasure, right? And if you look at De Bruyne was sold by Chelsea, went to Wolfsburg, rebuilt his career, and look what he did. Salah was sold by Chelsea, went over to Fiorentina, then Roma, then came to Liverpool, look what he did. So I'm okay about Liverpool getting players that other clubs don't feel they can give the pathway to. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but the injured stuff I just can't get my head around, mate. You know, going for a player who's now injured that you could have gone for at the start of the window if you actually had a plan in place. That baffles me. This one from Omar. How are you? Said, these signing efforts are a joke. Injuries all over the shop. Letting players go for free, but no worries. The data got it figured out. Yep. The data. Yeah, the data. God, yeah, the data. That's a phrase I don't want to hear again around Liverpool Football Club. The data-led recruitment model. I wish we could all go about our lives and have people cheerleading us when we're not even doing a good job. I mean, wouldn't it be great to be in that position? But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I feel frustrated and sad as a fan. I feel sad for my fellow fans. And I just wish they'd do the decent thing and get Barcola done, so at least we could look forward to that. At least we could talk about that and celebrate that, because we're less than 2 days away. Well, what are we now? Thursday, Friday. Sorry, 3 days away from Liverpool kicking off the Premier League season against Newcastle. And we're still underprepared. That doesn't speak to a well-run, well thought out club to me. It just doesn't.